Okay, so I mentioned about the Haynes Apperson radiator. So that's it. As you can see, these are round fins. They're just pressed onto the tubes. And if we look at the ends there, they're aluminium casings, steel screws. So therein lied my problem of the fact that ideally I would have liked to have been able to open this up, but getting those steel screws out of the aluminium and annealing the aluminium and getting it without letting it run away was a major issue. So it had had a repair right there in the past, and it was a very cunning repair because they'd actually wrapped glue and tape and cloth tape and wire around it, and it had managed to seal it because when I first pressure tested it, it had pressure, but it very quickly, as soon as I started to clean things up, I realised that that was actually broken off all the way across. So the tube was broken, and yet the insert, if you look in here, you'll see that the inserts go into the casting. So I took it to my handy radiator place down in Moorebank, Superior Radiators, and they decided the best way to do it was a modern repair, because lots of modern radiators are made out of aluminium, and this is an aluminium and epoxy that they use to seal modern radiators. And you'll see they've made a copper collar there, so they've actually put sealant on it, epoxy sealant, then put the copper collar on, crimp that around, and then put more sealant on it. It holds a good amount of pressure. It's got very good flow. So that's the radiator, and if you look at it, it's got 2, 4, 6 tubes with fins on the top, and if we come down there, there's another row, there's 5 rows underneath. So historically, what would happen with a radiator like this, and as I say, I haven't opened it up, but the water would come in here, go down this tube, run around, come back down this tube, round there, down there, all the way through it, zigzag its way through the radiator, and then get to the bottom section, zigzag its way back, and it would come out here. So when it comes out here, it enters into this tank. This is the most complicated water system you'd ever want to see in your life on an early car. So we've got this tank here. You'll notice that this tank's got a riser that actually goes to a water reservoir that sits under the seat that you can fill up. There's actually an outlet at the bottom of that tank that goes into the water pump. That's the water pump there. Water pump goes across there into the inlet manifold there, which tees off to go to the front and back. The water comes up through the motor, and you'll look at that bit of pipe there. That was actually quite a bit of jigging to make all of that and get the shape right and everything, but we've done that. And then the water flows through there, out here. This hole here actually comes back up in a pipe that feeds into the top of the water tank again. As I said, one of the most complicated water systems you'd ever want to see. And then the water comes out there, and you'll see this is part of the old pipe that I've got here, out there into a dog leg down here, and it's down there to get around the bottom of the carburetor. So, all the carburetor linkages, and then back into the radiator to go back round the system again. So one would expect with that much water, this tank here, the reserve tank up the top, I think there's a snowflake's chance of this car ever running hot, but I could be proven wrong about that in the future.